What's up, guys? I want to talk a little bit about, of course, NASCAR games, but I want to talk about why they are probably the worst sports games around and have been for such a long time. And the best example I could use right now is probably MLB The Show 2018. I haven't played it, but I've seen enough of it, and I'm gonna get it to know that that game shows everything wrong with NASCAR games in general, and why NASCAR games are so empty and bare bones. And when you look at MLB The Show, it just does almost everything perfectly. Not perfect is may not be the best word, but it really does a great job. And I'm talking about things like presentation and the career mode, which they call Road to the Show. And it has everything that I want in a NASCAR game, they do with MLB The Show. And it's the same stuff that they've also been doing for a long time with the NBA 2K franchise. Now, the last couple of NBA 2K games have some serious issues, and I've talked about that, but the main problems have to do with microtransactions, right? The overall game is still a pretty damn good game, and it's a fully fleshed out game every time. And the career mode is full of life and detail. And that's what MLB The Show is doing. And there's so much to love about it. The career building aspects is everything I want in any sports game. You know, you build a character, and then you live a career. And it's not just about show up and play the game. You know, there's so much involved, and it starts off with you being drafted into an organization, and you got to work your way up through the minor leagues, and you pick a position, and you don't just have a complete character. You have to build your abilities up depending on the type of player you want to be, and it shows what how grinding could be good in a game as opposed to the grinding we see in most games today, where it's just a repetitive, boring action that you do to build RP or get money or XP, whatever the case is. But it's something you do in the game that isn't really fun. It's just a repetitive action, and it's really to just get something that you need in the game to progress. And that is an example of how grinding could be a bad thing in a game. But there are games that do grinding in a good way. And games like MLB The Show are an example of that, where you're actually having fun and you're playing the game, and everything you do in the game matters. And it goes towards building the type of player that you're looking to be. Also, there's the customization, right? The customization has been streamlined and polished to the point where, depending on how much time you're willing to spend, you can truly customize your character and really get just about any look you're looking for. The only thing that would be better is face scanning, which NBA 2K has been doing, and I love that. And I do think that there's a rumor that MLB The Show is going to implement that at some point. You know, maybe next year. But there should be a point where every major game should look to face scanning because it's awesome. Who doesn't want to see themselves, their image in a game? You know, you want to play as yourself ultimately above anything else. And I would love that. I mean, just imagine in a NASCAR game, every time you see your character in presentation, whether it's in an interview or something, or a victory lane celebration, you're on top of the car and it's actually you. And to see yourself in the game is the ultimate. I think it's a great thing, and I would love to see that in a NASCAR game. But going back to MLB The Show, so much customization. You can even customize your batting stance, and even every fidgeting motion that you have in the batter's box. We all know that every individual player has their own little idiosyncrasies, their little things they do, whether it's scratch their balls or, rub their elbow before, stepping into the batter's box. And even when they're in the batter's box, every individual player has something unique to just who they are. And you can customize that with MLB The Show 2018. And on just looking at that, it may not seem like a big deal, but in the big scheme of things, as you play through the game, every little detail, all these little details that don't seem like a big deal, like they really matter, you realize that they do matter because it helps immerse you in the game. And the time spent polishing and really with the attention to detail to everything in the environment, it really elevates the overall game experience. Even every stadium has its own unique feel. At Yankee Stadium, they actually have the judges section, where, for those of you who don't know, there's a section at Yankee Stadium of people who go and they go dressed up as judges, with the white wig, like back in the old days. And that's his rooting section for Aaron Judge, who plays for the Yankees. Some of you don't follow baseball, you might not know any of this stuff, but even back in the old days, there was always a section at Yankee Stadium that, cheered for a particular player on the team. And it was always fun and unique. And these are things that you don't see everywhere, but you see them in places like New York. There's nothing in New York that comes across as strange or over the top. We are a huge melting pot of cultures and people, and we have all kinds of people, and I think it's interesting. And when you go to a place like Yankee Stadium, you're going to see every demographic, every type of person. So it's great to see that in the game. They actually put that in the game, and it's so cool. I love that kind of attention to detail. And there's so much more in the game. I can't get too far into it, but there's a lot of videos talking about MLB The Show now. There's reviews out for it. I'm getting this game. I can't wait to play it. But even going back almost 10 years ago, I remember playing this franchise. And even back then, you had things like where when you choose to retire, if your stats were good enough, you could get inducted into the Hall of Fame. These are the things I'm talking about with a fleshed out career mode. And in NASCAR games, nothing ever happens. You just go from race to race, and there's nothing that happens outside of the race. Nothing that happens pre-race, post-race, race back at the race shop, whether it's contract negotiations, building the cars, building the teams. You have every major sports game has a franchise mode. I mean, why haven't we had a type of franchise or owner mode in a NASCAR game where you have a 2 or 3 car team and you build this organization and you sign sponsors and you try to get money and you build a team and you sign drivers and kind of have it like a fantasy league that you can actually follow a season and see how your drivers do and the kind of money your organization makes and the deals you have to make with sponsorships. Every major sports game has these things like franchise mode. There's so much you can do. And the lack of innovation or passion to make a NASCAR game is the biggest issue I've had with NASCAR games. Going all the way back, I'm going to go to 2011. Because for me, that's pretty much this generation's NASCAR base. EA, when they were making NASCAR games, I'd consider that a previous generation. Those days are long gone. And believe it or not, there was a time when EA made some pretty good games, and they just became such a fucked up company. I don't want to get into all that. But since 2011, when Technic started making NASCAR games, it's year after year after year, and then 704 took over, and it's just empty, bare bones NASCAR games with no presentation, no stats. At least Technics gave us a pretty good paint booth. That's the only thing I could ever say about Technics that I liked. Everything else was bad, and it's just every year they came out with a new game, and it just felt like the previous game. Cut and paste rehash, and all you were really getting was an updated rosters and paint schemes. And we don't know really what's coming this year, and it's possible. Who knows? Maybe when they finally announce the next game, they'll list a bunch of things they're working on, and maybe they'll surprise us. They surprised us last year. I think they shocked almost everyone, including myself, when they came out and said, trucks are back, Xfinity's back, we're adding tracks. So I gave them a lot of credit for that, and they deserved it. But let's be honest, we're praising a developer for adding things to a game that we used to get 15 years ago. And this is what pisses me off when people constantly scream about game engines. Game engines have nothing to do with... We used to get all this stuff on PS2 and PS3 era games. And you mean to tell me that this Unity engine is worse than what they were working with back then in that kind of technology? Come on, that doesn't make sense. And these features are old. Every game has them. And the people building these games like MLB The Show, NBA 2K, and all these other games, they have their own proprietary game engines. They're not using these big game engines that everybody's screaming about. These fancy game engines that everybody wants. They got their own game engines, and they're able to do all this stuff because the developer knows where to focus. Which brings me up to another thing that I want to bring up. And I want you guys to be really honest with me. Don't fucking bullshit. I talked about the split screen co-op when they announced it, when they were showing it, when they were screaming about it, and it was such a big deal. And I came out and I said, I think it's an outdated feature, and that I would have much rather have them focus on other aspects of the game instead of something that to me was outdated. And I felt that it was outdated because everyone pretty much has internet, and we all have the capability of playing online. For Christ's sake, these guys are giving us a full field. You can actually have a 40-player field of guys. And if you don't, you can add AI. Do these things work perfectly? No. But we have it. So why the fuck would you care about split-screen co-op? That's an outdated feature. Now, the other features that I've asked for that are old, they're not outdated because they actually add something to the game. This doesn't add anything. This idea that you're going to be playing with your uncle or your cousin who happens to be stopping by for Thanksgiving or whatever this idea was, that so many people supposedly were screaming for this. Well, I said this before. Be careful what you ask for, because you never know when these guys are listening and when they actually say, okay, these guys really want this split screen, whatever we got to do, give it to them. Well, now you got the split screen. And I look around for footage, and there's only a handful of videos. So if this feature is such a big deal, why don't we see hundreds of videos? Like we see all kinds of gameplay videos of people playing NASCAR Heat. Why aren't we seeing a shitload of fucking split screen co-op? You know why we're not seeing it? Because nobody cares about it. Nobody's using it. And I'm telling you now, if somebody says, yeah, I use it all the time, I think they're fucking lying. Nobody cares. It's an outdated feature. And this is why I came out and I said it. And I said, I think it's outdated. You know, the time and energy and resources spent into making that happen could have went elsewhere to aspects of the game that needed more attention. But no, you know, they listened and they said, hey, everybody on Twitter and Facebook has been asking for split screen co-op like back in the old days. Now you got it. Who's actually using it? At the risk of sounding arrogant, I think I told you so. Where are all these fucking people playing this? You would think you'd see a shitload of videos about it on YouTube, but you don't. There's only a handful. And most of the videos that are there are from 5-6 months ago when the game just came out. Or even pre-release, people that got to play the game when they were promoting this split screen. And I said, I don't see the big fucking deal. I think it's an outdated feature. You got the online multiplayer. Why do you need this? That's all I'm going to say about it. But this is why I focus on things that I think really add something to the game that everyone can enjoy. And this game desperately needs to be fleshed out. The career mode. It's bare bones. And I'm sick and tired of it. So, look at these other games like MLB The Show. Okay? Just go online and put in MLB The Show 2018. And just look at all these videos talking about Road to the Show and the career mode and all this. And tell me that stuff doesn't look awesome. And then compare that to what we've been getting in terms of NASCAR game development since 2011. It's a joke. And I'm sick and tired of it. And I want to know the people in charge of making decisions at 704. Are you even paying attention to these other games? To these franchises like MLB The Show? Like NBA 2K? Have you even played these games? If not, I think you should. I think you should make everyone at the company play these games so that they can see what they're missing, the things they should be working on. Why can't you try to get face scanning technology into the game? People would love to see that as part of the career mode. And then, of course, you actually have to flesh out the career mode with presentation and show the driver in all kinds of scenarios. Attention to detail. What about the crowds in the racetracks? They're dead. The crowds are like cardboard cutouts. And like I talked about, the Aaron Judge's rooting section, and these guys are all dressed up as judges. Well, every NASCAR track has some unique personality or feature. Why not focus a little bit on that? We all know that Martinsville, they're known. There's a train right next to the track. You somehow could maybe implement that into the presentation. I'm just talking about details. When you drive down pit road, it should be crowded with pit crews and people behind the wall. It's completely dead, and that's a lack of attention to detail. I get it. These guys aren't the biggest developer, but man, something has to be done. Maybe not focus on mobile games. Maybe put all your energy into the main product. Flesh the game out. I'm sick and tired of every year all this missing stuff. Even statistics. I've been screaming about this since 2012. And I know a lot of people say, Dan, this guy brings up the same shit over and over. There's a reason I do that, because I'm hoping that someday someone, who knows, some developer at 704 or maybe another developer somewhere else says, you know what, we could do a lot better with a NASCAR game. I would love to see what Take-Two would do with a NASCAR franchise. The guys that make NBA 2K. They used to make football games that competed with Madden, and they put somehow I think they couldn't do it anymore. They couldn't get the license. There's a lot of bullshit going on, But there was a time where they were doing things in the 2K NFL games that were light years ahead of what Madden was doing in terms of dynamics on the field and tackling and all kinds of cool stuff. They were innovative. And I always said the lack of competition, it makes these guys lazy. But I would love to see what another developer or even Codemasters. I mean, look at the F1 franchise. Even their career mode is light years ahead. These NASCAR games are so fucking dead. And there's such a big fan following for NASCAR. If you did, it's... I don't know what else to say, man. I mean, do you guys agree with what I'm saying? What the fuck? And I'm telling you, it's not the game engine, guys. It's not the fucking game engine. All these other developers are making it happen. And they're all using their own stuff. And the Unity engine, it may not be the best. It's not the worst. You can't blame, it's the lack of passion, the lack of innovation, or even just the lack of knowing, the sense of awareness of what's going on in the game development community in terms of sports games. Things that have been done for 10, 15 years now. MLB The Show has been getting it done. NBA 2K, they've been doing a kick-ass job. Yes, the past couple games, they're going downhill because of microtransactions. But even with all those problems, they're light years ahead of anything anybody's done with a NASCAR game. There's so much you can do with a NASCAR game. What the fuck, man? And I'm not going to get into more details. I've done it before in other videos. But I'm hoping that 704 comes out and they make an announcement. And maybe they'll surprise us like last year and they say, hey, guess what? You're going to get a fully fleshed out career mode. It's going to be deeper, more immersive. There's going to be things happening pre-race and post-race. And not just going from one race to the next. Also, get rid of the shit that really doesn't matter. Like, I think it's SP. Those points you get. What the fuck? The money is meaningless. And so are those points. What the fuck is that? And they've been doing this every year. What are those experience points or whatever? They don't do anything for the game. They're not necessary. So there's so much waste in lack of focus, man. Get rid of shit that doesn't work. And I'm sorry, I know they tried with these videos where you have drivers talking to you. It's lazy. I'm sorry, but it's fucking lazy. I don't need Joey Logano or Brad Keselowski talking to me. One, it comes off as cringy and just awkward. I'd rather have animation like these other games do. Let me just talk to my fucking crew chief. Let me interact with or an agent like back in the old days. Or the team owner. Anything's better than just having these drivers. I know on paper it sounds like a good idea, but it doesn't really work. And it's lazy. Just giving us these quick little video clips of a driver talking to you after a race. To me, it's lazy. And it's a shortcut for not having implemented all the type of shit this game really needs. And I know I'm being really critical of these guys, but you can't just keep putting out a game every year and expecting people to buy this product and all you're really getting is updated paint schemes and rosters and very little else. Give us a reason to buy these games. And these other developers are fucking killing it. And you can play MLB The Show and it has so much replay value. You can start a career completely over and play a different position. Oh my god. You guys need to try these other games. I'm talking to the 704. Play some of these other games. Try these face scanning features and you could see, man, if we could put this in a NASCAR game, how cool would that be? And that's part of the career mode throughout. all the presentation. And I love that stuff. I think it's cool. I like when I play NBA 2K and I see I'm playing as me. I love that. No amount of customization can beat scanning your image into the game and you're actually in the game. Nothing beats that. And if you don't know how to do it, hire people who do. There's a lot of talented people who know how to make things happen in a video game. And yeah, it's going to take some extra resources and money spent, but you got to spend your money wisely. You know, that split screen co-op, I don't think anybody gives a fuck about it. And I want to know who's actually using it. And I think I've been proven right that it's an outdated feature. And people, there were people asking for it. Was it as many as they claimed? I don't think so. But I might be wrong. I'm willing to accept that maybe a shitload of people asked for it. But this is why I say, be careful what you ask for. You might just get it. So you got your split screen co-op. Did it really make the game worthwhile for you? I don't see it. I don't see all these people playing it because you'd see a lot more videos on people playing co-op. So they invested time and money into that and in the commercials. Remember with Joey Logano playing Keselowski and come on, man. If I was in charge, I'm telling you, I promise you guys, you would love the type of game you would get because I know where to focus. I know what the game's missing. And when I play these other games, I know what works and what doesn't work. That's all I'm gonna say. So you guys should just YouTube MLB The Show 2018 and just check out the videos on that and tell me that game doesn't look fucking awesome and that Road to the Show, which is the career mode, isn't fucking awesome and that you could get an idea of what I'm talking about with immersion and then building your own career and really feel like you're doing something and making everything you do important and tie into your career instead of just, like a lot of games do, just grinding for meaningless garbage. So I look forward to your comments. I don't think I have anything else to say in terms of NASCAR game development until 704 actually releases information, and hopefully they do soon. I don't think they talked about last year's game until the end of March or early April. I don't know for sure. So, there's still time. And hopefully they announce and everybody's like, oh my God, look, they said they're going to do this, and that. This thing's going to be cool. Because, in all honesty, yeah, when they announced last year's game and they talked about they were bringing back trucks and Xfinity and all these new tracks, that was exciting. And I did give them credit for that. So, but, you got to step up your game, man. So, what do you guys think? I look forward to your comments.